The Miami Dolphins visit the San Francisco 49ers this week. 49ers are 10-point favorites. Total's 39, I believe. So we're looking at a low-scoring game with a high point spread. That tells you right there that Miami's not penciled in to do very much. I agree with that assessment. I think Miami's going to find an awful lot of trouble putting points on the scoreboard. I like the 49ers minus the 10. You know, we don't have a lot of situations where Jim Harbaugh's coming off a loss. He hasn't lost that many games in the NFL. But when he has come off a loss, they have played exceptionally well, particularly on defense. I think that's exactly what we're going to see this week. I think Jim Harbaugh is maybe kicking himself a little bit for making that poor play call that really set up Colin Kaepernick to make a huge mistake. I don't like a pitch under the best of circumstances in the NFL. To do it at your own goal line is really ridiculous. That gave him 8 points, essentially, because they went for 2 and made it. Kaepernick also made a poor play in the end zone, gave them another 2 points on an intentional grounding for a safety. So he did not play the best game. I think that Kaepernick will come back strong. Where I think they're going to make amends this week, I think they'll run the ball an awful lot. That will chew some clock, but I think it's also going to keep Miami off the scoreboard. I like them minus the 10. I think they go out and dominate this game. Chuck Edel.
And you got a couple things in your favor. The thing you mentioned, Harbaugh off of a loss has been a covering machine. Another interesting angle, a little bit of a quarterback controversy. I know Harbaugh, he wants Kaepernick. That's his man right now, which also leads me to believe if he could keep on scoring, he's going to keep on scoring because he wants to put this guy in a situation to make him look good. And I think this could be a great spot for that, going up against the beat-up Miami defense. And the Miami team coming off a divisional tough game last week against New England. They got to travel 3 time zones. Extremely tough spot for them. You're going to play a San Francisco 49er team. You're getting their best effort in this one.
VR.
It's a tough spot for Miami. I thought watching that game, because I had them against New England, I thought they handed New England that game. Mm-hmm. I thought they played extremely well, except for the mistakes. With that said, here's the thing with San Fran, man. I know Harbaugh coming off a loss, but the only thing that I worry is that I've heard that so many times now. Eventually, it's going to get factored into the number.
Right.
Kind of like the zigzag in NBA playoffs. It works until it doesn't, because once something's factored into the price, it becomes irrelevant. And that's the only thing that scares me about that Harbaugh always covering off
That's
loss.
a valid point.
The other thing is this: the players seem to be taking sides with the quarterback controversy right now. And when you look at Kaepernick, I know you're in love with him. I know all the San Francisco's behind him. But if you take out that Chicago game where he shined, he's got 1 touchdown and 1 interception in 2.5 games. That's it. He's doing nothing spectacular. Personally, I think Harbaugh outcoached himself. Tried to be smarter than you needed to be. He got to the NFC Championship game for the first time in a long time. You didn't get to the Super Bowl. Give your guy another chance to do something. You're winning games. I could see if they started off 4-4. I could see if you had all that talent and you weren't winning games. But you were winning games. And unless you're going to bring me in a backup that's going to throw for 350 yards and do an RG3 and win games on his own, then what's the point from going from quarterback A to quarterback B?
I think this is his guy that he moved up to get.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with Alex Smith. I think Harbaugh knows, he's a good guy managing the game, but I'm not sure he's the guy to get him in the promised land, and then maybe that's why we're seeing the quarterback.
I don't know if Kaepernick. You had a game manager.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Kaepernick's the right guy. I know Chris does.
I do. I love him a lot.
But
before we, there's a couple of things before we wrap this up.
He played for Reno. Come on.
Sure, he's a great player. I think he's going to be a star. But listen, a couple of things I want to point out. I think that Miami did play very well last week against New England, but they've lost 4 of their last 5.
That's the best quote I've heard on here. I love him a lot.
I do. I'm a better. I'm not asking him on a date.
I love it. I love it.
They lost, before we lose here, they lost to, besides New England, they lost to Buffalo, Tennessee, Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Badly.
Not murderers row. They are losing. They did beat Seattle. How they beat Seattle, I have no idea.
I agree with you.
I'm going to lay it down. We've talked about it. Let's go ahead and make it official. Yes, I love Colin Kaepernick, VR. And I like the San Francisco 49ers, minus the 10 in this spot. I think Miami is starting to lose it. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They did come up with 1 victory against Seattle, but they lost badly to some bad teams. They, too, have had a pretty decent year with a rookie quarterback, a first-year coach. I think that they could maybe put that in their pocket for next year, but this is a bad spot for them, traveling all the way to the West Coast against a San Francisco team coming off a very poor loss. And I think San Francisco makes amends. I'm going to lay the 10. Not too often I lay double digits, but I'm going to lay it in this spot.
You know, Fisher's got the Harbaugh's number. You know, throw out those 2 St. Louis games. You know, you know,
all right, coming up next, we're going to hear from Chuck. He's going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals. He always picks the best games, that our boy Chuck.
America's team.
All right, and just a reminder, you can see all our videos at pregame.tv.